Hi, welcome to Vegan A Go-Go. This is a vegan cooking show. My name is Jess. I'm not a vegan chef, but I love vegan food. I just want to let you know that the recipes on our show can be adjusted for any level of vegetarianism, though the ones that we feature will be about as animal-free as we can possibly make them. Today we're going to be making a Moroccan chickpea stew, and this is a recipe that serves about 6 people, and you can actually scale this down to pretty much any size that you would like. I usually do this for 2 people, and it turns out great. It's nicely flavored with some cinnamon and also cumin. There's paprika, and if you like heat, there's some cayenne pepper. And we also have, the main ingredients in this recipe are going to be chickpeas, spinach, tomatoes, vegetable broth, and some onions, obviously. So we're going to start by chopping our onion, and I'm going to go ahead and turn our pot on, and we're just going to let it come up to some reasonably high heat, and I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. The recipe calls for about a 1/4 cup. I don't really think you need that much, so maybe like 2 tablespoons or maybe even 1 tablespoon, depending on the type of pot you're using. This one happens to be non-stick, so I don't feel like you need that much. So we're going to go ahead and chop up our onion. The onion should be about a medium dice, large onion, and so we'll go ahead and get that going while the pot is warming up. This first part of the recipe, you're going to be adding onion and garlic, and the garlic that I have is actually, I don't know if I can even mention their name, but I'm going to anyway. I get it from Trader Joe's, and it's frozen, and this garlic has, it's set up in basically like frozen cubes, and each little cube is about 1 garlic clove, and so we're going to pop in about 6 or 8 of those little cubes of garlic. So if you've got garlic at home, I would suggest mincing it up as small as you possibly can, and that should be good enough. Okay, so we're going to chop up the other half of this onion. I'm going to get out my garlic, and we will get started. Okay, so our pot is pretty warm. Got our olive oil inside. We're going to add the onion and shove that right in the pan. Get it all in there. Love the onion. And I want to stir this up. And we're going to cook this until it's translucent. And if it starts to brown, you're going to want to turn the heat down. You don't want to burn it. Also, what we can do is you can either add the garlic now, or we can add it after the onion has had time to cook. I usually add it after the onion's cooked a little while because I don't like that burnt garlic taste. Sometimes if you overcook it, it gets bitter. So we're going to avoid that and add it a little bit later on. Okay, so we're going to add the garlic, and this is that garlic I was telling you about that comes in the frozen cubes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop out about 6 cubes into our pot. Looks like our onion's about half cooked, and so this will give it some nice flavor. And so we have to basically let these thaw out. And that looks good. Okay. And if you're going to use fresh garlic, you'll want to press it or mince it. This will basically melt into garlic in just a few, like even seconds. So, okay, so it looks like our onion is just about ready, and so we're going to add some of our spices. And right now I've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Put that in. I also have a teaspoon of cumin, which is really nice. And another heaping teaspoon of paprika. Throw that in there. And then I've got about 1/8 of a teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. And again, you can adjust that to taste. I tend to really like cumin, so if you're like me, you may want to add a little extra. Okay, so we're just going to cook that for a minute, let the spices kind of blossom, sort of. Let the oils come out. It becomes really fragrant. This actually smells very, very good. I always think that this kind of looks like a spice roux. Instead of flour and butter, we've got olive oil and spices. Let's let that cook for a minute. The next ingredients we're going to add are the tomatoes, the chickpeas, and our vegetable broth. And so I've already got the tomatoes ready, but the garbanzo beans, what we're going to do is we're going to rinse them off in the sink using a strainer before we add them to the pot. Okay, so we're going to add our rinsed garbanzo beans, chickpeas, and 1 can of tomatoes. And I'm just going to give that a quick stir, just get those spices kind of infused in the tomatoes and the garbanzo beans mixed around. And now we're going to add some veggie broth. And you can use any type of veggie broth that you like. And if you're in a pinch, actually, you can even use water. There's no real reason, besides flavor, I guess it adds a little flavor, but I've used water in this recipe and it comes out great. So if you don't have veggie broth on hand, you can use water and it should turn out fine. So we're going to add enough veggie broth to cover the chickpeas. And this is about a quart container that I have. And that should cover them right up. So after we've added the broth, what we're going to do is also add a teaspoon of sugar. And now we're going to go ahead and let that simmer for about 45 minutes. Okay, so it looks like it's just about ready. We've been simmering for about 45 minutes, and we're going to turn it off, take it off the heat. And what we're going to do is get our potato masher. Pretty much any potato masher will do. And what we're going to do is we're going to mash about half of this. And so you still want some chunks, but you want to get more of a creamier consistency. So we'll just start smashing it up. Okay, so that's pretty well smashed. And what we're going to do now is set our masher aside. And we have a bag of baby spinach right here. And this is a 6-ounce bag. That's fine. You can use a 5-ounce bag, whatever you've got around. And I don't usually have baby spinach on hand. What I usually do for this recipe, especially if you're using smaller amounts, what you can do is use frozen spinach, and it works great. I have never had a problem using the frozen spinach on this recipe. So after we add that, we're just going to let this kind of wilt down and just take a couple of minutes. So I'm going to stir it in and let it wilt under the heat. Oops. Okay, so our spinach has wilted down quite a bit, and it's pretty much ready to serve. So what we're going to do is just ladle out some of it into our serving dish. And we're going to drizzle it with some olive oil, and it's ready to serve. Alright, so we're just going to drizzle this with a little bit of olive oil and give it a quick taste. It's so good. That's one of my favorite recipes. That's pretty much the Moroccan chickpea stew. If you'd like to try it, you can check out our recipe and show notes at veganagogo.com. If you'd like to email us any recipes or comments, you can email fans@veganagogo.com. And my name is Jess, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.